on air sign. We'll get started. Oh, we are on air, and welcome to the Tuesday, November 9th, 2021, regular meeting of the City of Xenia City Council. We're meeting tonight in lieu of Thursday being a holiday, Veterans Day. Our city offices are closed. At this time, we will have an invocation by Pastor Charlie Huff, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Will Urschel. If I could ask everyone to please rise.
First of all, I want to say it's good to be back.
Yeah.
And I don't apologize for my tears because they're mine. There's a story behind them. And my heart tells you that it's good to see each and every one of you. So, because I tell you what, I've been told that I was outrageous, contagious. It's good to rub off on people, to let them know that they're loved and cared for, and it makes me feel so good to know that I'm a treasure beyond measure. I just want to say thank you. This is where I am. Somebody said the other day, when you go get in charge of your enthusiasm, he's in charge of my enthusiasm. Thank you. Dear Father in heaven, it's so good to be here again. Lord, time is flying.
Yes, it is.
And you know all about it because you're in charge of it. With you there is no time. And with that time is going by so fast, and we're getting old, Lord, but I'm getting closer to home, and I want to be the joy of the people. So as I come today, I pray for the council members, and I pray for the city, the police, the firemen, the nurses, all the people that's hurting, Lord. We got to lift them up to you. Prayer is the key to the kingdom, Lord. And I stand here as a disciple of yours to let the people know that we win. If we are God's people, we win. Don't worry about what's going on around us, Lord. You are in control. So I come tonight to pray for our city and pray for the ones who's leading it. And Lord, it's good. It's good, Lord, because we know the end of the story. And we are to be a light in the world. So tonight, as I stand here, I bless you, Lord. Give you the glory and the praise. And thank my friends for being able to pray. And we come to you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And everybody said amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Charlie.
I got a appointment with another Charlie's Angel.
Yeah. All right. That's great. Thank you, Charlie. Let's face the flag.
And it's good to be here.
Thanks, Charlie. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless.
Thank you, Pastor Charlie Huff. Thank you, Councilman Urschel, for the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. Ask for a roll call, please.
Vice President Dean, Councilman Scrivens.
Here.
Councilwoman Dean.
Here.
Councilman Brown. Councilman Urschel.
Here.
Mayor Mays.
Here.
President Smith.
Here. Over the weekend, I got an email from Councilman Cody Branham for a motion to excuse due to family business. I'll make that motion at this time. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by the mayor. Any questions or comments regarding that? All right, roll call, please.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. At this time, and the agenda is the opportunity for approval of minutes from the October 28th, 2021 regular meeting. This time I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
Moved by the mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Any additions or corrections? Okay, could I get a roll call, please?
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Urschel?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We have no special presentation scheduled for tonight's meeting. Next on the agenda is opportunity for audience comments. If anyone would care to come to the podium at this time, give us your name, address for the record. Limit your comments 3 to 4 minutes, please. All right, we have a small audience tonight. City Clerk, do we have any emails to present? Thank you. Next on the agenda is opportunity for old business. Our first item is Resolution 2021-SS. It's the second reading. This is authorizing acceptance of the Federal Victims of Crime Act, known as VOCA, and the State Victims Act SVAA grant for 2022. This was introduced by Councilman Scrivens at our previous meeting.
Mr. President, I'd like to move approval.
Thank you. Move for passage by Councilman Scrivens. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by the mayor. Any discussion, questions regarding this acceptance of the grant? Madam Law Director, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I have nothing additional.
Thank you. Thank you very much. At this time, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Urschel?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Our next item is public hearing, which we have none scheduled for this evening. So moving on to new business. Our first item, number 1, is Resolution 2021-T. This is also an introduction. This is adopting policy EBM-3.07 titled Court Leave and repealing and replacing policy EBM-319 titled Military Leave of the City of Xenia Employee Benefits Manual. Mr. Merriman, would you care to bring us to speed?
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Administrative Steering Committee, this evening we are presenting recommended changes to our Employee Benefits Manual, specifically recommending adoption of the 2 policies as indicated, 3.07 court leave and 3.19 military leave. As is proper, staff periodically or as needed reviews and recommends updates to our employee policies based on changes in law or other conditions. Policies involving employee benefits and compensation do require City Council approval. The Administrative Steering Committee has reviewed the court leave and military leave policies and determined that changes were necessary. The court leave policy establishes standards related to instances when employees are called for jury duty or subpoenaed to testify in cases related to their employment. The amended policy updates eligibility for compensation, proper notification, and what constitutes a violation of the policy. Further, the military leave policy establishes the eligibility, proper notification, compensation, and continuation of benefits and reemployment following leave for employees serving in our armed forces. The changes recommended here are necessary to comply with the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, known as USERRA, and Ohio Revised Code Section 5923.05. The staff is recommending this evening introduction of the resolution 2021-TT would allow advancement of these policy updates.
All right, thank you very much. Does anyone have anything for City Manager? Any questions? All right, at this time, I'll seek an introduction. Who would like to do so?
I can introduce it.
Introduced by the mayor. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is Resolution 2021-UU, also an introduction. This is awarding the contract for Xenia 2022 through 2024 biosolids hauling, disposal, and application services to Heinz Farming, LLC. Mr. Merriman.
Thank you, sir. Staff is recommending council take action or initiate action this evening to award contract services to haul and dispose of biosolids from wastewater treatment operations. The end stage of our wastewater treatment results in a residual biosolid material called that we call sludge that must be disposed of and in a manner that is compliant with OEPA requirements. 2 primary options for disposal of sludge are direct landfilling or collection and proper application as a fertilizer components. Typically, the latter option is the most cost-effective. To this end, the city contracts with private vendors to dispose of the sludge in such a manner. Our public service staff recently solicited bids for a 3-year contract for our biosolids hauling, disposal, and application services. 3 firms were responsive. This is detailed in your agenda report. Among those bids, Heinz Farming LLC was the low bidder. Again, this is detailed in the report at their recommended amount. Heinz Farming has been the city's contractor for biosolids handling for the past 6 years. They've performed exceptionally, and we're very happy with what they've done. As a result of that experience in the low bid, staff is recommending that the council introduce and ultimately award the resolution to award this bid. I just wanted to note that they submitted a price point that is held constant over that 3-year period, so we were pleased to see that that wouldn't have an escalating cost. So we're just seeking an introduction of the resolution this evening.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Merriman regarding this contract? Very excited. It's Jamestown, so it's close.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. Any other questions? All right, I'll seek an introduction.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Scrivens. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is administrative motion approving the schedule of bills tonight in the amount of $502,000. Mr. Finance Director.
Yeah, I would just note that the vast majority of the scheduled bills amount this meeting is related to improvements to the dispatch center in that system. The expense is borne by our 250 fund, which are the revenue comes from fees imposed by the state on communication devices, and so their fees specifically set aside for this purpose, and so there aren't other city taxpayer dollars that are being used to fund this, but it's a part of the dollars that we would receive as a part of that state fee. So that's all I would reference tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Duke?
Just one, Mr. President.
Sure.
Mr. Finance Director, how often do we reevaluate the contracts that we have with the various vendors that we deal with?
It would depend on which type of agreement that you would reference. A lot of the agreements have different terms. I would say generally, somewhere in the 3 to 5 year range for most of our service contracts. There are some that are certainly longer, but there's no set, hard and fast standard. Generally, though, most of our agreements are between 3 and 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Any other questions regarding the schedule of bills tonight? All right. Can I get a motion to pay the bills, please?
So
Moved by Councilwoman Dean. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Councilman Urschel. So sorry. All right, he usually has those questions for me. All right, I do have one real quick. And it looks like an indigent burial. Is that the same vendor we've been using for a while?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we've been sticking with the same one. We've had
Okay.
actually a number of those here recently, so
Yeah, I noticed that's kind of sad.
business is busy.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, thank you very much. At this time, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Urschel?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is appointed officials reports. At this time, I'll move to start with our law director. Madam Law Director.
Just one thing to remind Mayor Mays, you, President Smith, and you, Councilman Scrivens, that we are going to have our first legislative review committee meeting on the 23rd at 4.
4 o'clock.
And I hope to have materials out to you towards late next week, so you have time to review them.
Yes.
Okay, 4 p.m. And our council meeting that night is 6. Is that
At
correct?
6,
Okay.
correct.
That should give you enough time. All right, thank you. Anything for the law director tonight? All right, thank you very much. Next is our finance director, Mr. Duke.
I have nothing else this evening.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Duke tonight? For those that are watching, actually, council's been here since 5 tonight. We had a presentation by Mr. Duke and IT department on their needs for 2022, and I'd like to thank you for that report tonight.
Thanks.
All right, next is Mr. City Manager.
You know I have something.
All right.
A couple things. First, again, just a reminder that our offices will be closed for Veterans Day this coming Thursday. We'll reopen for normal business on Friday. Leaf collection is beginning. We encourage folks to go out, check the city's website, be sure you're aware of what the schedule is for your particular zone in the city. And so crews are out right now, beginning that process. As always, we continue as staff to monitor legislative actions at the state level that would impact us locally. There are quite a few legislative items either being introduced and reviewed through the committee process or being enacted as we speak. Just a couple points that we're monitoring right now. One, the governor signed this week new law on fireworks, and so we've had some very brief discussion with the law director. We will be coming back to council probably first quarter of next year with some action points, some authorities the council would have to allow some of those firework activities locally. So kind of flies under the radar, but that's why we're watching that so we can advise council of opportunities like that. So again, that's one item. Another item that we're watching very closely, there's been legislation introduced that would pave the way for statewide mandates for implementation of next generation 911 systems. This is extremely consequential legislation. We've been waiting for some guidance at the state level to provide that roadmap on what the state specifications for services will be, so it's not something we haven't anticipated. The key here is that the funding likely to accompany that mandate is far insufficient when as compared to what it's going to cost us to implement that. So again, these are just two examples of a number of things pending at the state level that will have a local impact that we're keeping an eye on. Finally, I just want to let council know, just for sort of planning purposes looking ahead, we're nearing completion of the report materials related to the redevelopment of Xenia Town Square. We've talked with our partners at Dillon Development, and we are anticipating having most of those products back by Thanksgiving or by the end of this month. We're looking at probably some council committee meetings in December to begin reviewing those materials, probably our utilities committee, property management, and budget committees. We'll look at different components of those with a full report out back to planning and zoning at their January meeting, and then we'll have to work with council schedule-wise, but probably a special session in late January, early February, bringing all those materials back with some recommendations on action steps and next steps overall for the redevelopment of Town Square. So all those pieces coming together on schedule, on track. We're very excited. I know that Councilwoman Dean and the mayor have participated in some of that steering committee process, so everything that you saw in that process is really kind of coming to fruition in terms of the physical planning. So more to come on that very soon, but just want to let you know that there'll be some additional meeting opportunities and all of that coming forward to council, probably beginning our next legislative session next year. And that is all I have this evening.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone have any questions or comments for city manager?
So just one comment, and maybe this goes to Jared as well too. When we list indigent burial under a cost, was this just the cremation? This wasn't the actual burial, is that correct?
Correct.
Correct, yes. So there will be a headstone cost eventually whenever we plan out that burial. And I will say that the state has been reimbursing several of our indigents. It takes about 6 months, but they used to not cover those, and they have set aside some funds. So some of those do get reimbursed as funding allows.
Right. So, and I'm assuming that when we have the actual burial, like we did the last time, that we'll invite a number of the local pastors to participate again. I just want to make sure that's going to happen.
And I think we have about already enough right now for an additional tournament, so we'll probably do that in the spring, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was hoping we could do it in the fall, but I don't know if we'll have time with leafing and public services schedule, so.
Yeah. Well, if you guys would just contact me about that, and I'll work to get the other pastors involved, because we want to be part of that. So, yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for city manager? I did notice the crews out yesterday in my neighbor at North End with the leaf collection, and that's a big job, and I appreciate that. And thank you for doing that project each year. Our next item is reports for boards, commissions, and committees. Our first item is Property Management Committee, scheduled for November 4th. Councilman Scrivens.
Thank you, Mr. President. Property Management Committee did meet on November the 4th, and Councilman Urschel and Vice President Levi Dean were the other attendees on this committee. The major output of this committee this time was that the the city of Xenia had come about a transfer of the property of the Carnegie Library there on East Church Street. And it was kind of sudden for us, but we decided that the entire committee was interested and excited about the project. And the project described is basically we get the Carnegie Library for a nominal sum from the county with the proviso that they don't want it back and that it would be ours to further dispose of. We talked about various root, means, squares to dispose of the property, put it back in private hands, and so far we've gotten a good interest from an entity that's local, and that's what we can say about it now, and we'll bring it back to you when we have more to say about it.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Councilman Scrivens on property management? All right, seeing none, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting originally scheduled for November 4th. That was canceled due to a lack of agenda items. That is chaired by Councilman Branham. And Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities. I chair that committee. That met yesterday, last night, at 6 o'clock here at the Chambers. Thank you, Councilman Urschel. You also attended that on behalf of the Ministerial Association. Biggest thing coming up that I'm really excited to let everybody know is December 3rd. Friday night, 5 to 9, is Christmas Station. So it's our holiday event. And that, again, from 5 to 9 p.m., we're going to welcome Santa Claus. The Santa house will be located at the Xenia Station. And with activities north of there going up to downtown. Carriage rides will be available to go from Courthouse to the lights at Shawnee Park. So that is always a big event. That's always really crowded, so I would suggest if we can get there early. Members of BRCA will be at the Santa House for distribution of gifts for children. We have some other items like off on the shelf, window decorating, and gingerbread competition. That's going to be announced here real soon. Mr. Merriman, jump in if I'm missing something here.
You got the highlights.
Okay, all right, super. So again, we have the lights at Shawnee Park. So just want to thank the business community downtown for their support for this project, because basically we're doing this for their interests as well. And we're excited to do it on a Friday night from 5 to 9. We're looking forward to carolers, some guests from Xenia High School to escort. We'll have some characters, Frosty the Snowman, a reindeer, possibly the Grinch. So we'll look forward to that. And also want to mention that Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities now has a vacancy. So if anyone is interested in applying for that position, certainly email myself or our city clerk. It's mjohnson, correct me, at ci.xenia.oh.us. And we'll take your letter of interest. BRCA meets the first Tuesday of every month. However, we met last night due to the conflict with the election. So again, Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities also plans other activities. Our next big project will be next spring, and that'll be the Easter egg hunt. That's scheduled for April. So looking forward to that. I know the mayor always gets involved and helps with that, so thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions regarding BRCA? Nope. All right. Moving on to council comments. I will start at my left. Councilwoman Dean, do you have anything for tonight?
I just wanted to say thank you to Xenia PD for letting me ride along last Tuesday night. It was a really good experience, and I think just if you guys haven't done so, do so, because it's pretty eye-opening. So.
All right, very good. Yeah. Thank you very much. Councilman Scrivens.
Thank you, Mr. President. few things. I want to thank the citizens of Xenia for all that they've done to make Halloween great for the kids. Remember, it's not about you, it's about something that's larger than you here in the city. I want to thank Mr. Jerry Farrell that was in here about a week or so ago that passed out the veterans calendars and the Purple Heart sign that we have in our driveway. You want to definitely thank people who have sustained injury for our own behalf. So if I see you in that space and you don't have a Purple Heart, I'm going to call you out. Thank you. The Shawnee Park lights, they're just beautiful. And we want to continually thank our police chief, Randy Person, for his endeavor and his dedication. And it's an amenity for the entire city. And we thank you for that. The Greene County Career Center had its grand opening last week from 5 till 9. The expanse runs from State Route 380 all the way across to US 42 South. And that building has a walkway of a quarter of a mile, straight shot, and has labs on one side and classrooms on the other. If you haven't had the opportunity to go to the Career Center to just do a look-see, I invite everyone. That is the nicest amenity that we have in the city of Xenia. Please take advantage of it. So for those of you who are not wanting to pursue an academic career, there are a myriad of activities that you could learn to do at the Career Center, from culinary arts to electrical engineering, I guess, plumbing. I mean, it's all there. I saw trucks. I saw simulators where you could do a backhoe. And so there's plenty of things to do. So there's no way that you could leave out of Greene County and not have something to do with either your hands or your brain. The Collier Chapel was rededicated on the campus of OVCH, OS Nestle Home. That was a really, really good rededication ceremony. It was packed wall to wall, ceiling to floor, door to door. And a number of our elected officials were there, county and state, and city. Councilman Urschel was present. And it was just a really good thing for the community. If you haven't been to the Collier Chapel, there's a cemetery behind it with a great history. I invite you to walk through the cemetery and read some of the monuments. The time change. Now, we thank you, Congress has quit messing with the time and leave it the way it is, but it's dark in the morning, so be aware. People standing out without reflective clothes on and stuff, especially kids at the bus stop. So I'm not for changing time back and forth. It's ridiculous. It's an arcane thing that got started when we were on railroad time. Now we got time at the National Gallery where the thing disintegrates. So it's ridiculous. We want to thank the vets, all the vets, wherever you served, however long you served, we thank you. Your day is coming up Thursday, and that's why we're meeting tonight, so we can honor you fully on your day. And we thank you for your sacrifice. And, Mr. President, with that, I look forward to seeing Santa Claus on Friday, December 3rd. I can't wait. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Councilman Scribbins.
And just one final thing. All of those who were elected to the school board and to the city, and want to congratulate the winners, and for the losers, there's another opportunity. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Scribbins. Next is Councilman Urschel.
Yeah, I just want to commend the Association of Ex-Pupils and the folks at Athletes in Action on just the amazing work that they put into the Collier Chapel. In 1995 was when the school shut down, run by the state, and the lands were turned over to the county. The county at that time had no plans, really. They were mostly interested in the land and not in the facility. There were 49 buildings on the facility at that time, and they were starting to deteriorate. And providentially, God brought Dayton Christian Schools in 1998 to purchase the entire facility at that time and started rehabilitating it and bringing a whole series of other ministries on there. But the chapel and the graveyard and the museum stayed with the Association of Ex-Pupils. And I did a number of weddings over at the chapel, and it was historic, but it was dilapidated. And there were folks who just felt like there was just no way that could ever be brought back. And it was built in the 1870s. And some of the ex-pupils got together with a number of our state lawmakers and found the dollars through multiple means, and spent over $1 million in the renovation. And it's one of the gems of the city now. And so if you have not had an opportunity to see the chapel, I encourage you to stop by the Museum of the Ex-Pupils Association. And I think that would be a wonderful place to have a wedding in the future as well as some other events too. And I'll also say that the ex-pupils that spoke that evening said that the chapel was a center point of their lives. And many of the things that happened there, but really kept them going through that time. So kudos to them. I've been going to the township trustees meetings this last year, had an opportunity to go last week as well. Right, they gave me a coffee mug finally, so maybe I've crossed over to the dark side, I don't know. So, just some feedback for you guys. For better or worse, whether it's right or wrong, they have an extreme sensitivity to annexation. And so I think we've made some inroads this year, in terms of coordination on that. But I think we need to continue to put the olive branch out and work with them on that. It just seems to be a very sensitive spot on their part. So I'm just bringing that back as an observation on our side, not that anything's right or wrong on that. It's just I think that's a place we can work with them on. Also went to the last Board of Education meeting. I've been going to those this year, and I'll just tell you the number one topic there was bullying, and it has been for probably the last 8 Board of Education meetings, and a lot of concern by parents over that. So there's some initiatives that are getting started there with the Board of Education I think are going to be fruitful, but more to come with that. But I'll just tell you, in terms of our community and our parents, that's having a place for our families to be safe is a number one concern, and being able to respond to that. So that's the administrator asked if the city would like to participate in future efforts to address this, and just as a representative, I said we obviously would, and I hope we all agree with that we'd step forward.
Mr. President, if I may, to that end, and I appreciate you bringing this up, and I'm remiss because I intended to bring this topic up tonight and I forgot. We have received a request from the schools to consider the addition of a school resource officer for Warner Junior High. And this is an opportunity that the council has previously discussed, and you expressed support. We've expressed to the schools that we think that that I thought that the council would be supportive of that. So as you see, excuse me, as you see our final budget come forward later for the temporary budget and the final budget, that will be excuse me, inclusive of that school resource officer for the junior high. So we haven't worked out everything with that yet, but that is the intent.
Go get your test.
During the latest election campaigning and the discussion with the candidates, the whole situation of homelessness here in the city came up often, and that got the attention of our staff writer with the Dayton Daily News, London Bishop, and she did a great job of doing some independent investigation on that by herself, and interviewed a lot of folks both at the city and a number of the shelters. And she also went out and spent a whole day picking up trash with folks from our work team from Bridges, and spent time that day with a number of folks that were in the shelter, as well as some time outside of that as well too. So since this was such a large item, I'd like to go ahead and read this article to folks that hadn't had a chance to hear this yet.
Hang on. Do you need to do your report?
You want to do yours first?
Sure.
Can we do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's
Thank you.
go to
I
the
apologize.
mayor.
I'm leaving at 6:50. I apologize. With the change to Tuesday, I had a commitment at 7. I didn't
I was actually out of town for a while, and with the election, I didn't have any specific events to report. Thank you for representing for me in some of those. I just wanted to mention that on Friday, there is a service, a Veterans Day service at the Senior Center. There are still tickets available. It's a dinner. It's at 5 o'clock, and I know that it's going to be a great event. And also wanted to mention that the Thanksgiving Day community meal is happening. So there is a free meal happening on the 25th. It will be 11 to 1 as always, but there is one big change this year. It's going to be at the Schindler Banquet Center. Athletes in Action has been asking for ways and looking for ways to be more involved in the community, and they came to the Association of Churches and said, can we help with this event? And we said, yes, of course. So Chef Robert is going to be helping, and Amanda Dunaway is working with the volunteers and getting some coordination done. So there will be a phone number by tomorrow. We are meeting tomorrow to finalize that. There will be a flyer and a phone number if you need to have a meal delivered, of where you can request that. Hopefully we can probably put that on our website as well. And we'll try to get that information out and disseminated. But also there will be the free meal, and you can come and enjoy the community and sit with people and enjoy that from 11 to 1 at the Banquet Center. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, and at this time, we'll dismiss the mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
Safe travels. And we'll go back to Councilman Urschel.
Right. So let me go ahead and read this article too. It's not that long. This is by London Bishop from Dayton Daily News. She says, every Saturday morning, Mike Hunter cleans up trash on the same bike path where he saved a person's life. On Saturday mornings and Wednesday nights, he and 17 other homeless or formerly homeless individuals go out and clean up trash, cut back trees, lay mulch, and generally maintain the look of Xenia's downtown. Hunter, who has been homeless and just recently obtained housing, carries Narcan with him and says he saved 8 people from an overdose. He was talking about one specific individual. He said he didn't even thank me or nothing, Hunter said, of saving the man on the bridge. Killed his buzz, I guess, is what he had to say. Hunter and his colleagues worked through a privately funded program put on by Bridges of Hope, a Xenia shelter that serves homeless single adults. Workers are paid $10 an hour at the end of each workday, and Brent, is that funded by the city?
Not a dime.
Not a dime funded by the city. Just want to make that very clear, that not a dime of this is funded by the city. Workers are paid $10 an hour at the end of each workday in a way that organizers says it gives them dignity and purpose in addition to putting money back in their pockets. Since the project started in May, workers have picked up more than 1,000 bags of trash. It's teaching men and women responsibilities. You need to have a job, said Will Urschel, a city council member and president of Bridges of Hope's board of directors. They get paid every day, but if they don't work the hours, they don't get paid. It teaches good, basic work skills. Through the work program, 5 people now have full-time jobs and full-time residences. One of those people is Jeff Langen. Langen became homeless 2 days after Christmas in 2020 and now works at the Greene County Fairgrounds doing general maintenance. If it wasn't for Bridges of Hope and TCN, the caring network, helping me, it was getting cold in January. I probably would have been dead, he said. Bridges of Hope currently houses 35 adults each night, but closes during the day. Bridges of Hope houses individuals from Xenia, Fairborn, and Beaver Creek, but all adults served by Bridges of Hope must have proof of Greene County residence. And I'll just add, this was not in the article, that 80% of the folks that have been staying at Bridges of Hope for this calendar year have been from the city of Xenia. 80% from the city of Xenia. Bridges has plans in place to be open as a full-day program shelter in 2022, both to give people a place to go during the day and to address some of the root causes of homelessness. These root causes can be as varied as the individuals experiencing it, says shelter director Jill Conkle. People think it's they don't have a job because of drug addiction. For a third of our population, it's health issues, she said. You want to really know somebody's story? Ask them about their childhood. It's horrific what some of these people have gone through, but they don't have the support or counseling to work through it. The city of Xenia has started its own initiative to address homelessness from a law enforcement perspective. The issue has become a significant concern for residents and by extension the council, said City Manager Brent Merriman. There's no easy way to deal with it. What this initiative is attempting to do is providing assistance and accountability at the same time. Titled the Heads Up Program, the effort has dedicated 2 police officers to go out in the mornings and identify individuals that are living on the street, offer them help, and direct them towards available resources. Through their efforts, the city has identified that there are roughly 10 to 12 people living on the street who refuse to seek help. The perception of the scale is really off, Merriman said. Sergeant Jeff Osborne of the Xenia Police is one of those officers interacting directly with the homeless. 90% of the ones we're dealing with now are the ones who don't want to take the next step, Osborne said. We don't just want to lock them up. We can't force them. We can't harass them. But if they're committing a public error, we can hold them accountable. Though some individuals refuse to seek help, there are others who are actively giving back to the community, and Xenia is already starting to see a return on investment, Merriman says. Some homeless folks are taking value away, but these guys and gals are taking pride in doing a service to the community that others wouldn't, he added. That pride is felt by individuals like Hunter as they go about taking care of the city of Xenia. We're people just like everybody else. We're just going through a hard time, Hunter said. Sure, you have people who abuse the system, but we do a hell of a good job. That was his statement there. So I just wanted to make sure that you all had a chance to hear that. There was also a lot of discussion about the city not funding anything, or should not be funding anything at Bridges, and that Bridges should be seeking public grants outside of that. And so I just wanted to let you know that a couple of those have occurred. So let me read another article here from the Xenia Daily Gazette. It says, Bridges of Hope is among 5 programs across Ohio receiving a workforce development grant from the Association of Ohio Commodores Foundation Fund. The association awarded Bridges of Hope, a faith-based homeless shelter, $10,000 to support its Day Hub computer lab. Former Ohio First Lady Hope Taft, a member of the Commodores, nominated Bridges of Hope for this grant award. I also mentioned that Bridges last week received a grant award in the amount of $100,000 from another foundation to provide for all the facility upgrades to allow it to do that Day Hub program for next year. So those funds are now in place to start having the full daytime program starting next spring. So, Veteran Day's Thursday. I'll tell you, I can remember being in uniform in the late 70s when having a uniform on meant you went down the street and you were mocked and you had things thrown at you. And Veterans Day, I remember 79 was not a happy time. Matter of fact, most veterans met by themselves together and did not go out in public because the public at that time would have harassed them and mocked them. So thank goodness that is not the culture we have today. So I would just encourage you on Thursday, take some time, find a veteran, and thank him for what he or she has done. And they will greatly appreciate that. And I'm just glad that in the United States today that folks are proud to have veterans amongst them. So, and you know what? Maybe Thursday you need to pick up the tab for some veterans lunch or breakfast, okay? And take care of that as well too. One last item, just as a little bit of education for us, take a look at some words. Words have meanings. It's good to know what those meanings are. I'm going to introduce a word here tonight, a word called slander. Slander is the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. Some other synonyms for this is character assassination, smear campaigning, denigration, slurring, insulting, mudslinging. Corollary to slander is the word called libel. Libel and slanders are both types of defamatory statements. Libel is a defamatory statement that is written, and slander is a defamatory statement that is oral. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of libel and slander that was going on in this last set of campaigning for both the Xenia schools, and that was not being done by the candidates. It was folks in our community that were slandering and libeling the candidates for the school board, and that was being done in the run-up here for city council. And it wasn't the candidates who were libeling and slandering each other. It was folks in our community that were doing that. And in both those cases, there were some folks who would call themselves leaders of our community that were leading the community in much of this libel and slander. And I would just say that as I listened to the parents come to the school board, and Nancy, you were there as well, listening to that, much of the bullying that was going on was in cyberspace. And we had 2 parents that talked about the fact that their children committed suicide over things that were posted about them. Now, why in the world would our children in Xenia be taking actions like this? Well, you know why? Because their parents are. The leaders of the community are. Children are not oblivious to what's going on. And when we as adults decide that it's appropriate to do the Machiavellian, the end justifies the means, and we can destroy someone's character so that we can achieve an end goal, why are we shocked that our children are doing the same thing? Shame on us. Shame on us, Xenia. I am shocked as I look across social media platforms. I've looked at them at our other municipalities in Beaver Creek, Fairborn, Bellbrook, Yellow Springs. There's township social medias. I do not in any regard see the slander and libel that goes on in the Xenia forums and in the rest of those forums. And so this is something that needs to end. And it starts with us as individuals. It starts with us holding accountable the people we know that are doing this. And it's not the school's fault that there's bullying. It's not the school's fault about what goes on in social media that causes other kids to despair so much that they take their lives. Okay? It's our community that says that that's acceptable behavior. And that is shameful. So I would hope that as we reflect back on this one, I spoke to one of the school board candidates, and he says, and there were shameful things that were said about this individual. And he said, I don't even know this person. This person never even spoke to me once. Why are they saying these things? And you know what? All I could tell him was, welcome to the club, because this is how we do business in Xenia, okay? Well, this is 2021. Let's hope in 2022 that we put that kind of business behind us and we don't participate in this shameful behavior anymore. Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. Just a reminder for those that are watching, our next council meeting will fall on Tuesday, November 23rd, in place of our regular scheduled meeting, which will fall on Thanksgiving. There will be some adjustments to our December schedule as well, so look for that as well. Also like to wish everyone a happy Veterans Day. What we were able to do last Tuesday on election is because of our veterans who have kept us safe, kept our country free, sacrificed their lives, their families' time, so we can sit up here and do what we do. And it is not a position that I know myself, Councilman Urschel, we hold lightly, and we are very thankful for the voters, those that came out last Tuesday and voted. Thank you for exercising your right to vote in our community. Thank you for helping us to continue to make Xenia a community of choice and a city of hospitality. So with that, tonight, I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Dean, and a second? Seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Roll call, please.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Urschel?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Xenia.
Tom, do you want to go to the park? Awesome.